Hello, everybody, and welcome to this latest edition of the K-Hub series powered by India Business and Trade, the thought leadership platform of the Trade Promotion Council of India. In this edition, we are pleased to welcome Mr. Sudhakar Kasture, who's a leading consultant in international trade over the last 40 years. He's a consultant and advisor to many national and multinational corporations, public limited and private limited companies, and he's been associated with Chemixel in the capacity of a consultant since over 20 years. He's the director of Helpline Impex and a partner in Generation Next Business Consulting. And these are quite well-known consultancy firms now at present, which are offering advisory services on international trade-related issues. He's a mentor at Exim Institute, which was founded by him to impart vocational training in the field of international trade. The institute has imparted education to over 5,500 students in the last 27 years. At present, Exim Institute runs Advanced Certificate Program in International Trade, Advanced Certificate Program in Customs Law and Procedures, and also conducts customized corporate training programs for various organizations. He's a well-known speaker on various topics related to international trade, which include foreign trade policy, import-export documentation, free trade agreements, WTO agreements, trade facilitation, authorized economic operator, SEZs, etc. He's conducted numerous training programs, seminars, and workshops for private and public limited companies, MNCs, various institutions, export promotion councils, banks, etc. He has also conducted research on various topics and authored a book titled Handbook on Foreign Trade Policy on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He was appointed as an expert on the Task Force for Export Transaction Cost Reduction Project by Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India in December 2009. Today, we will be talking with Mr. Kasture on the current, trade scenario, which we are seeing across the globe, how India's trade is performing, and what kind of an outlook we can expect in the coming years. So, welcome, Mrs. Sudhakar Kasture. It's a pleasure to have you on the K-Hub, and thank you so much for giving your time with us today.
Thank you, sir.
So, Mr. Kasture, the first question I have for you is, now we are nearing the end of 2023, and global trade is expected to shrink by nearly 5%, and it remains volatile due to various factors. That is according to the UNCTAD's latest global trade update. How do you see India's export performance in this broad context and the future outlook?
Hello. Hello.
Hello, yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. You can start the answer. We'll edit it. No problem.
Is my voice reaching?
Yeah, it's seeming that the connection is a bit weak. Just a second.
Hello.
Yeah, just a second. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, please. You can start your answer. I'll edit it later.
Sure. See, looking at 10 years is a long period. I would like to look at 5 years only, because with the communication speed that is currently in 21st century, we have to think of a shorter period. My observation has been there were 10 commodities in 2019-20. The same 10 commodities in 2022-23. And these 10 commodities account for almost 50% of India's exports. The first observation that I would like to make, out of total 98 chapters of customs tariff, we will keep chapter 98 away because it is India specific. Out of 97 chapters, only 10 chapters cover 50% of our exports. Balance, totality less than 50%. Same is the story when you look at countries. Almost similar pattern that you see. For example, in 1920, USA, UAE, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, UK, Netherlands, Germany, Bangladesh. These were the countries top 10. In 2023-24, USA, UAE, Netherlands, China, UK, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, Germany. More or less same pattern, same countries. My actual observation is like this, that we have to, in true sense, expand the base. And that is not happening. Even if you look at the products which commit good amount of, let's say, $10 billion and above, if we take that, which are the chapters that continue to be same? 27, petroleum products, 71, gold and silver, 84, mechanical machineries, 29, chemicals, 87, automobiles, 30, pharmaceuticals, 85, electrical, then 72, 73, iron and steel. Almost same structure you find in the all 5 years continuing. Why are we not looking at specifically promoting other chapters? One aspect. So we need a very specific program. It should not be generic in nature. It should be specific to the products, number one. Number two, we also have to look at catering to MSME, which contributes roughly about 45%. But then at the ground level, if you want to look at, their problems have not come to an end. On the contrary, their problems have increased. And I can tell you this very honestly, because at the broad bottom level, grassroots level, I have number of students who keep complaining about me, sir, this is not happening, sir, that is not happening, this is the problem happening, that is the problem happening. We have to sort out, we have to bring about real ease of doing business. And I could see one simple way of doing it, which government is doing, but it needs to be more focused, is that we should remove manual interference in decision making. It should be totally digitized. Now, for example, I apply for authorization. It should not be signed by someone. The system should take care of it if the details are filled properly. Yes. I want to close my case. I want to redeem my cases. Same procedure should be followed. If we reduce the manual interference and really make a system which is completely open, which is technology oriented and safe simultaneously, I think that will help. And then we need very focused programs as to how we want to develop each chapter. Labor intensive we talk of. Now, if I want to give you a specific example, chapter 61, 62, 63, ready-made garment, textile is one base. But are we really able to compete with Bangladesh? Are we really able to compete with Vietnam? So these questions have to be addressed chapter by chapter. That's my personal view. We should not concentrate on. And there is one more thing which I'm again and again hearing that is about PLI scheme. I do not understand one simple fact. Why are we talking about PLI scheme and exports together? My worry is if I talk about exports and I talk about PLI and I talk about incentivization, it will lead to anti-countervailing, anti-subsidy. If I want to text also the word exports, the moment you bring the word exports, the whole world is going to look at it and see that, okay, you are still incentivizing when WTO rules against you. So these are some questions which need to be addressed at a very serious level and quickly. We don't have much time to look at that. That's my personal view.
Right. Okay, sir. So you're saying broadly, the chapters haven't changed, but we have, for instance, seen some very interesting growth patterns in a category like mobile phones. So do you see some interesting, product categories which are coming up where, you feel that they merit more focus? As you say, you need to diversify your product basket. So could you suggest some of the categories you feel which are promising and which need more focused attention for India?
Yeah, I personally feel that one very good scheme in this respect is district hubs. Another very good scheme which is promoted very lately, that is Dak Niryat Kendras. I was participating in a DGFT program and there was one lady, I think from Chhattisgarh, from the postal department. She presented it very beautifully. Because my personal belief is this, that when anybody thinks of activity of export, the person either think of a seaport or airport. Then it automatically gets concentrated over few cities or few coastal areas where one has to go and work it. If you really want to make large number of people associated, large number of people contributing to exports, then Dak Niryat Kendra is the best example to run. And the postal department is something which has really curated it very well as to how this all can be done. And my personal feeling is, see, you look at e-commerce trade. E-commerce trade today is close to $8 trillion. Why can't we set a target for say $100 billion we will achieve through these mechanisms? And then at every district level, we have curated products where we can say that this product is specific of India nature. And this can, one aspect. Second aspect, we have almost 2 crore non-resident Indians. Think of this, each one of them just want to buy $500 worth of goods from India. What would be my increase in exports? I need to expand my base. There is one third problem coming out of DGFT statistics. When Mr. Sarangi presented the foreign trade policy on 31st of March 2023, I still remember his words that active import-export codes are only 6 lakhs. In other words, we have 6 lakh entities, including proprietors, partnership companies, private limited companies, public limited companies, maybe trust and other cooperative societies put together, only 6 lakh entities talking about exports. And population is 142 crores. Now compare this with a country like Germany, where population is 8.4, 8.3 crores and exports are 1500 billion. So what is the awareness reaching at the ground level? If I continuously feel I have to go to the city, I have to go to port town, then only I can export, then it's not going to work. Right. This should be strengthened. And this should be strengthened from a layman's language. Again, I have a difference of opinion when people present things. You, for a common man, don't talk about a 40-feet container. That's not his way of looking. He wants to export 5 kilo rice. Right. He wants to export 10 kilo something. Explain him that how best he can do. And then I have 100% confidence in our entrepreneurship that yes, we will achieve this. What Chinese could do, why can't we do it? The small people getting into export, capturing the market, it's possible. We have skill sets, we have entrepreneurship, we have a desire. Everything is there. But then when it comes to implementation of something, I get worried. Right. And then when I see a host of documents being talked about, so best I feel, you go to post office and another, you will laugh if I tell you this, that's the only department in the whole India where nobody is worried about entering that office. Nobody feels that there will be some trouble in this office. Everybody feels the fellow will help me. This is a good psychological factor that will help a common man, and we should promote this left, right, and center, district hubs, and Dak Niryat Kendras. Make it as easy as possible. That is something essentially needed. Right. That will give us the base, and that will give us for base for local products which are not primarily import dependent, and that will automatically support the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme without disturbing the other countries. That is critically important.
Right. It's pretty interesting you say that. So you're saying that, with the, kind of technology inputs we have or the support system we have today, would you say that, it's relatively simpler for anyone to start an export business? And if so, what would be the primary guidelines you would give to anybody who wants to start a business? Maybe not necessarily he has a product, but he starts, thinking about what kind of products he can export. So from that point, you feel that, it's relatively simpler. What would you like to advise such people?
When it comes to starting exports, two things. One, my personal belief is that he must know about the customs and logistics operations carefully well, because that is something that is normally not taught in our graduation system. You take a BSc fellow, you take a BCom fellow, you take a BA. Anybody who is normal graduate is not aware of what it is. Then so-called people teaching this, a person teaching shipping and logistics has never seen a ship in his life in normal circumstances. So what do you expect him to contribute? Our focus is always on this, that it's not as difficult as you think. It's not as simple as you think. This is a knowledge-based business. So we need to understand this. And I would like to use one term that is, I took it from Germany because I also teach at Indo-German Training Center. The term is pestle analysis. So pest, everybody knows: political, economic, social, technological. Then there is environmental factors, which are very critical currently, 24 to 2030, because you'll have burden of carbon taxation, things like that. So you need to understand that. You need to understand circular economy. You need to understand ESG. This has to be your basic. And my personal feeling is a person who has a common intelligence, who is passionate about exporting, will be able to do it. He will have trouble. I'm not saying that things are so very easy. It's not. Because even if you have technology, I'm not sure server will work. I'm not sure it will go further. I'm not sure it will really go through. This has to be made simplified. And that's why I'm again and again saying the courier exports, the exports related to through Dak Niryat Kendras have to be expedited, have to be created. Then the common man, he says, okay, I need not learn everything. I should go for this particular aspect. Let's start. When I acquire certain size, then I'll think about adding my education on that particular aspect. I think that becomes much more easier for a country of this size and country of this population, that we have to keep in mind all the time.
Right, sir. So actually this year the government launched the foreign trade policy 2023 with an objective of $2 trillion in exports. So how do you feel India can achieve this target, or what kind of policy initiatives will be crucial in the coming years to help us achieve that target by 2030, which is the year which has been earmarked for this?
There are three things, in my personal opinion, three critical aspects that we need to do. One, we need to sort out our FTA negotiations. This is critically important because that will give me market access, that will reduce my trade and tariff barriers. I'm not talking of duty reductions per se. I'm not saying that the duty has to be reduced. All I'm saying is you create an environment where my products are acceptable to the other person. Now, unfortunately, again, you will find my remarks little disturbing. But my observation has been, you cannot talk only of processing, export, export, export. You cannot force it to the other person that you got to buy things from me. You have to look into his understanding. You have to look into what is his mindset. To make it very simple, FTA, according to me, is arranged marriage in a Hindu family, where you don't have only father and mother, you also have father-in-law, mother-in-law, you have responsibilities, you have relatives, everybody contributing, and success of the marriage depends on contribution of all those factors. On one hand, we say we are extending a scheme called PLI. We are saying you invest money in India. You tell me, as a normal person, if you invest money in any country, what are you going to look at in the first place? You're going to look at your own safety, your own promotion, your own thinking, how your business will grow. Then you will think about. On the other hand, if somebody else is saying, no, I will promote my products, but I will not allow you on the specifics of it, what it appears to be. I have seen parliamentary committee notes from Europe and UK. And then I find, okay, they have certain reservations on India's approach. So we should more concentrate on a win-win situation, long-term interest, moving forward, and removing trade and tariff barriers. That's the first aspect I would like to be looked into. Second thing that we need to look into is little bit of psychological change also. I always say this, again, people find it on a humorous side, but the entire Bollywood industry, right from last 50 years, the importer-exporter is most of the time projected as a person who is a villain. He's never a hero. He has all the money, he has all the beneficiary, everything that he has, but finally he's a hero. And when you look at the person who is chasing him from the government side, he is comparatively a very poor person. So perception happens that you are doing something which is not very legal. The perception has to change that this is a normal guy. This is his business. want to achieve and leave myself at all. I'll give you two examples. For example, you have defaulted on completion of redemption. I will put you in denied entity list. What is this denied entity list? It makes me as a black mark person across all. Now, technology wise, the moment I am declared denied entity list, all other operative people know that I am in denied entity list because it is available online. Now, the mechanism is, okay, you put me in denied entity. Do you really bother about removing me as quickly as possible? So proactive side on the government side that, okay, I put you in denied entity list, fine. How many cases are pending? 5 cases are pending. Okay, I will approach you. What is your problem? Let's look at your document. Let's visit this. Let's close this. That doesn't happen. The person waits for you to come. This needs to be changed. There has to be a system, and there has to be a system in such a manner that I should feel confident about it. That when I approach someone, I should feel, he will help me. I will get through this particular thing. My current observation is this: everybody tells me only what problems are. Nobody is going to tell me what is the solution. I'll give you one example. Day before yesterday, a company has approached me asking that they want to do job work abroad. So they want to send products, they want to get a mold done, and from there it will be exported to some third country. Now, this kind of arrangement is only available in the foreign trade policy for export-oriented units. A normal fellow wants to do this. Look at the problems. How do you manage your EDPMS? Because there is no connectivity. Who is the final buyer? Who is the job worker? How will I remit money? How will I remit money for? How that gets accounted for? And if I approach the bank, this is what I want to do. Or I want to go to DGFT. Give me the answer that this is what I want to do tomorrow. There's a possibility of doing a good business. But then I don't get the answers, which should be given at that right moment. There has to be a system of sorting out things quickly. The pain points have to be removed. I would like somebody to appoint a task force only to check pain points. Forget about anything else. Pain points for the practical work. Sort it out, exports will grow. If not, all said and done, what is our current level of exports? It is $6 billion less than compared to similar period of last year. So what we were expecting that, okay, it should grow by at least 15% per annum. But that's not happening. Of course, there are geopolitical reasons like Russia, Ukraine war, or Palestine, or otherwise recession in the market. But again, there is one more aspect, very critical aspect. See, generally speaking, we are aware of USA, we are aware of all developed countries, Korea, then Japan, Australia, New Zealand, USA, entire Europe. Compared to this, we don't focus on Africa, we don't focus on Caribbean countries. The destinations which we have not touched so far, the destinations which we have really not. I was looking at the statistics presented by DGCS. You know, I myself research it in a different way. I find there are more than 100 countries where India's export is less than 1 billion. More than 100 countries of the world. Why can't I make a target that, okay, I will only increase export by another 1 billion to these 100 countries? Just 1 billion to one country additional. That will increase my export by another $100 billion. But this requires a specified effort dedicated for that particular country. To that extent, research has to take place. I must understand which products will sell there. And then there are limitations. For example, country like New Zealand, per capita income is very high. But then look at the population, 48 lakhs. So if I'm in Mumbai, I will consider this probably is equivalent to 1/3 of Mumbai, whole country. So what is my perception about that country? And how much they'll buy from me? Can I make a general statement that, okay, start exporting to New Zealand? It will not work. One has to look at the specific requirements of each country, decide a strategy based on that. Then probably the target that we are thinking of is achievable.
Right, sir. So actually, this approach is of course very positive, which you have mentioned. And if we have a district as an export hub kind of strategy, we can have a more broader base, as you said, of exports. I wanted to ask you specifically about the DESH scheme, which was voted by the government and as a replacement for SEZs. So, but irrespective of what were the provisions in the DESH scheme, what kind of similar infrastructure can we have? Because that was key to China's growth as an export hub. Having those huge SEZs, it was very close to port, and end-to-end supply chain integration they ensured. So, what can India do in this regard? Since the SEZ is not an option which we have anymore in terms of export linkages, we can't link it to exports. So, how can we proceed on this further?
There are two things. One is positive, extremely positive. Another is we have to remove something from the mindset of the people. If you ask me, very honest opinion, because I have been studying this subject when SEZ were not established. Prior to that, I was writing a book for World Trade Center on study of labor laws in SEZs in India and abroad. I traveled to some countries. This is all prior to 2000. What is my observation? My observation has been in India, SEZ as a concept was received more from a tax incentive point of view. What indirect tax I will not pay, not required to pay. And direct tax, I have an exemption for 15 years. Originally, people got attracted to this concept because of that. Originally, the concept, in theory, it was that we have to develop the infrastructure which will deliver competitive, cost-wise competitive goods of a high quality desired in international market. That was the original idea, but unfortunately, it is completely driven by tax. So first, I would like to say that if you want to convert DESH, we have to focus purely on infrastructure and reduction in cost because of the advanced facilities, nothing else. In this form, we should not promise again something that, okay, I will give you another incentive in the form of this. No, I will give you a situation where you can do your business more effectively, more concentrated manner at competitive rates, maintaining the quality. This is something has to be focused in terms of thinking. Then wherever connectivity is required for, say, services sector, expansion of services sector, and the utilization of space already created, if you want to relax certain rules in that particular aspect, yes. So I agree with Baba Kalyani report, basically in basics, one saying that, okay, 3 employment, economic enclave. It has to be employment economic enclave. But again, what I hear for last 1.5 years is, okay, the proposition was sent to Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance has not agreed upon something. Some discussions are going on. Therefore, there is no decision. Now I expect decision to take place only after the new parliament comes into picture. So it will get delayed by another 6 months. Whatever time we bring in this particular aspect, we have to maintain that economic and employment enclave. We should not focus more on incentives. On the contrary, we focus more on how best I can service you, how best I can deliver the goods, what best infrastructure in terms of shipping, in terms of everything. Like same is the story for agriculture. Now you have agricultural production. Where is the warehousing? Where is the storage? Where is the facility of transportation? How do you reach it to the customer? These are the primary things. I don't want 5 rupees incentive. Don't give me incentive, no problem. As long as you make this operational, working, and in practice, again, not in theory. I'm tired of theory. It has to be delivered. That is something which is extremely important. And that's the only thing that will create confidence in the SME sector that yes, this is being delivered. Personally, I feel this is the way.
Right. Okay. So you touched upon the CBAM kind of legislation, which we are pretty worried about at present. So how do you see the mindset in when it comes to trade regulation in markets like EU and US, what are the things India should be wary of, or should be aware of, and how is their mindset now, towards import regulation, especially now WTO is not a not really as powerful an entity, but there are EU is doing its own regulations, US is doing having its own regulations. So how is the mindset of trade policy changing in the global market? What should we, be really looking at carefully?
I personally feel, and this will happen not by choice but by default. There are two things that are going to change the entire trade scenario. One, what is going to happen geopolitically? What is the end result of the war? Because if you cannot use Suez Canal, your shipment period is delayed by say 2 weeks, and then your cost will go up by 17-18%. Same is the story related to CABM. If you have carbon taxation applicable, and then understanding of carbon terms, understanding of carbon credits, sustainability, environment, these are going to be the issues. And my personal feeling is this, that environment is a very, very critical issue. It is so critical that we got to address this in next 6 years. When I teach my students, I tell them, don't think of 2031. I'm asking you to think only up to 2030. What are your steps in next 6 years? Because I see this excessive rains happening in Maharashtra state, untimely, destroys the crop. How much area? 1 lakh acres. 3 hours excessive rains coming in Sikkim. The total loss 10,000 crores. See, when nature destroys something, it doesn't ask you questions. It hammers. It destroys all that is created. Economic loss is very, very severe, very, very heavy. And this is happening in all parts of the world. You go back to 1990, I had no methods of communication and reaching it to people at one go. Today, anything and everything is known to the rest of the world in 15 seconds. Earthquake takes place, I come to know. Wildfires in Canada, I come to know. Trade is ultimately being defined by the environmental impact. So whatever may be my way of thinking, it's a completely different story. Nature will decide finally, okay, what are you going to do? Tell me what is happening in Israel, Gaza. Forget who is right, who is wrong. The destruction that has happened in Gaza, how much time you reconnect that, to recreate that? What is the money, from where that money will come? How will be the situation in another year's time? How we look at it? Where is the unrest in most of the country? What are their economic indicators? How are they doing? These are practical issues. And environmentally, how much capable are they? I was supposed to do a program on 5th December for CII in Chennai. 4th December, I got a call, no, there is storm, don't come. Because, and then 100 flights were cancelled. Just think of 100 flights cancelled in a single day. What is the economic cost of it? How will I bear that cost? So at the end of the day, any country in the world is going to think about economic cost of everything. Trade depends on if I have money, if I have surplus money. Now, COP28, look at the result from Dubai. What was expected as climate financing? How much money is finally made available? We are talking of $1.2 trillion per year. Finally, it comes to $270 billion, and finally it's come to $700 million. So where is the reality? Where is the money coming from that? Is this the priority of the companies? On one hand, we say reduce fossil fuel. What about automobile sector, particularly if you look at India? What is electric vehicles? What is the supply of electricity? How do you generate the electricity without using coal, without using fossil fuel? If 70% is being generated using these means, even if you want to transform to solar, it will take some time. It is not going to happen overnight. Same is the story across the globe. So trade flows will be decided based on how good I am at something, environmentally, how strong I am at something, and how do I make the products which are eco-friendly, more acceptable to the developed world. Because the more the education is, people are going to realize this sooner or later that I have to work on it. There is no other option for me because my life is at stake. The day I read, and I feel it very strongly. Why I feel it very strong? There is one reason. COVID. You look at how COVID has changed the lifestyle of people. Now, environment disasters is another methodology where it is going to change the lifestyle of people. And if we really have to cater for that, we have to teach people right from the beginning, maybe from the first standard, that you got to care for it. And then it is something like Japan. The way Japan treats people that, okay, earthquake will take place. You should be ready for this. You should be ready for that. Similar kind of thing environmentally, we have to look at all the world. And then comes most important aspect, trade and tariff barriers. Because when you have economic problems, you automatically refer to tariff barriers to begin with, trade barriers to continue. Countries will take protectionist policies because I don't have money to spend. So this is something we need to look at. And I would request every single company that individually you study economic indicators of your importing countries, and you arrive at something where you can work out that, okay, I am thinking of expanding my share in this market by 15%, but inflation already is happening there 25%. He is not going to buy my product. I should realize this. I should shift my focus to somewhere else. So very serious economic studies. That is what I personally feel one should do. Environmental and economic has to be taken together. Then only you can decide your trade policies. You cannot just decide trade policy thinking this will happen, because in one day things will change. One earthquake changes, one excessive rain changes the whole landscape, and you can't help it.
That's true. That's
and
true.
for an agricultural country like India,
Mhm.
where large amount of population is dependent on agriculture, we will have to think about this very seriously.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for your very practical insight on this. I have one final question to you. We have moved from China plus one, in the past 2 years, and especially, of course, post-COVID. And we are also seeing that Indian economies continues to be seen as resilient in the face of the global, environment, which is not so positive. So, what do you think are the positives we should take away for India as it, endeavors to take that manufacturing space from China in the coming years? What do you see the positives, something which we should capitalize on and, try to strengthen ourselves based on those positives?
Unfortunately, the answer could not be economic. It is other way around. It is more geopolitical. I'll give you some briefs on this. You think of 4 or 5 countries. 1, Russia. 2nd, China. 3rd, USA. 4th, EU. If you consider this and if you look at their political differences, what exactly do you support? Would you like to support Russia? Would you like to support USA? Would you like to support European Union? Would you like to support China? Or you would like to maintain an independent relationship with each one of them? One good example of this is invoicing in rupees. I have written one article on this. It's a very good concept, agreed. But this is possible if you have bilateral trade. If I buy from Russia $30 billion worth of goods, but I export to Russia only 5 billion, what will he do with the balance 25 converted currency? So there has to be a bilateral trade between countries. And first, we'll have to create a policy where in true sense, we are not affiliated only to one group. We'll have to maintain that. It's a very difficult task to maintain that. Simultaneously, you maintain good relationship with Russia. You also maintain good relationship with US. You also maintain good relationship with EU. And then you look at other countries dependent on number of. First, if we really want China plus one, then we have to make our entire atmosphere conducive to business. And you have to remove small bottlenecks. I'm not talking of big bottlenecks. I'm talking of small bottlenecks. I want to register a company. I want to start something. I want to look at investment. I want somebody to invest in my own country. I should consult with those country chambers. What are your difficulties? What you find difficult in India? Why are you not thinking of shifting to India if you feel you are not safe or you feel that you want to move away? Then we'll have to do a factual study that how many industries have moved from China to Vietnam, how many industries have moved from China to Thailand, to Malaysia, and how many have actually come to India. What are the real reasons? If we study this in this particular fashion, yes, we have a great chance. Because it's a very interesting look at, if you look at it from that angle. Do I need to promote imports? Answer is no. Every single country in the world is interested in India. One simple reason, you have a population of 142 crores. So you have those many people who can consume things. You will always be a very attractive destination for me. Now, I want to set up business in your country. The moment I think about this, resilience is one aspect. You are promising me market. How will I survive? What are the regulations? How do I establish myself? Will I have any problems related to any kind of transaction that I am taking place? Then privacy matters, technology transfer matters, IPR. There are n number of issues that are being talked about. They have to be sorted out. And it's a nice way of looking at it that we have to sort out one by one, but simultaneously we also have to take a comprehensive model, what we can offer you. Now, a simple example, you look at Gift City. Gift City from services, you can promote as an internationally acceptable model. But then simultaneously for a size of India, we require 20 gift cities. Think it from that angle. How can we go about it? What is my priority? And most importantly, I personally feel that you have to be passionate about exports. If I'm happy with my local market, why do I bother about doing all these things? You have to create that passion for things that, yes, we need to do this. If we can create that in the younger generation, that you have to expand, you have to go, you have to understand, then it will work. And one last thing I would like to give you, why people choose USA or EU as a education destination? Because it is promoted like this. And the person who is going to take admission believes that this is what he is going to get it. Can we create that atmosphere that a foreign company coming into India believes I will grow over here? If yes, things will work out. Should not be a problem. But export has to be a passion. And I agree with, in fact, I also talk about that concept. We should stop all comparisons. We should only talk per capita exports. How much you are contributing to exports, and that figure has to be increased. But one single indicator for all the thing, what is my per capita exports, how much it is growing. If we follow all this, probably we have a great future to come, and we'll have to care about sustainability, environment. This has to be a passion for every single person living on this earth.
Right. Right.
No other option.
Actually, per capita export is something I will be surprised. I've not really come across that term, but it's a very interesting metric to have.
Yeah.
When you're comparing the strength of, when you're trying to evaluate how strong a country is really. And I can see that passion for exports in you over years of, intense study and effort and working with the industry. It's very evident in your, the way you talk about this topic, and of course also shows the deep sense of insights that you have, which are very different from the ones we normally get, when we look at conventional, export analysis, which is covered on various platforms. Thank you so much, sir, for your time with us today. It's really been a pleasure talking to you. And we look forward to, having more such discussions on various aspects of exports for the benefit of our audience. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this invitation. And I'm extremely happy. If I can contribute to growth of our country in terms of export, I will be extremely happy.
We
Thank you
share
so
the
much.
same aspirations, sir. Thank you so much.